So you're lounging on a couch on a warm Wednesday afternoon after you come from a busy day at work. Your work was pretty good. You did all of the tasks that you were supposed to do, that your manager asked you to do, and you even proposed a few interesting ideas for some projects. So it was pretty good. It was decent. Your work was good. You kind of liked it, but you were not excited about the work. You were not really passionate about it. It wasn't really challenging. It was just mediocre. It was just something you would do because you would get a salary at the end of the month. But anyway, you did a decent job and now you deserve to rest, you deserve to relax, and you have the time for yourself, which is your evening. You have your evenings with you, you're lounging on this couch, and then you say, okay, I would just be spending 15 to 20 minutes on my phone, and then you start spending some time scrolling through YouTube shorts, and then you're scrolling through the YouTube shorts one after another, getting surges of dopamine in your brain, and you're just having a good time, you're just relaxing, and you promised yourself, hey, I'll just spend 15 to 20 minutes on my phone, after which I would start focusing on the goals that I set for myself at the beginning of this year. And then 20 minutes go by and you're still on your phone, you're still scrolling through YouTube. And now, in fact, not just through YouTube, you're going through Instagram Reels and TikTok and all of the social media websites on which you have your account, and you're just wasting time at this point. 20 minutes go by, 30 minutes go by, 1 hour goes by, 2 hours go by, and you're still on your phone. And you look at the watch and you don't believe that you really wasted 2 hours of your life, because the evenings are all you have for yourself. The rest of the time just goes to your work, and you're not particularly excited by your work. You just do the things that need to be done, and the job pays you decent enough so that you don't have to worry about a lot of things. But you just wasted the limited time that you have. And then at some point, as you're scrolling through these YouTube shorts, you come across some random demonstrations by these robotics companies like Boston Dynamics, Agility Robotics, etc., etc. And you see these and you're fascinated by it. So you pause there a bit and you look at, okay, yeah, these are the things that I actually wanted to do. This was my goal at the beginning of the year. I set this as my goal, that I wanted to become a robotics software engineer, that I wanted to actually program and control these incredible robots. I want to implement computer vision, machine learning algorithms on these robots to make them autonomous. You wanted to do all of these things. You were actually quite passionate about it. But because of your full time job, you said, okay, this is the job is paying me well and I'm going to stick with it, but on my free time I would be slowly building up my skills. But you never do that because you waste your time on social media or other meaningless things which are not directly contributing towards your goals. So you wasted the whole evening, and then you come across these robotics demonstrations, and then you keep on scrolling, you continue to scroll, and then another similar demonstration or another similar marketing video by a robotics company pops up, and then you're like, okay, this is this is really fascinating, and I think it is really possible to do. And the fact that I am not working in robotics is because I'm not putting in the time. And then soon you're filled with guilt for not really putting in the hours, putting in the effort that you're supposed to do. You're filled with regret for having wasted the limited hours that you have during the day, and then you just cannot scroll through YouTube anymore. You leave your mobile phone away, but then you start coming up with excuses. Hey, but I don't have enough time actually. I'm just not disciplined enough. I'm just busy. It's really tiring after a full-time job. I don't have enough energy. I maybe need to go for a master's. I just do not know where to start. There are just too many things in robotics, and you just come up with excuses one after another, and then you just go to sleep, and then you get back up in the morning and then you go to your work which you don't particularly enjoy, which doesn't particularly drive you, and then you repeat the same thing over and over again for days, weeks, months, and years. And this is your life. Exactly, this is exactly your life, because your life comprises of days, your life comprises of several weeks combined together, your life comprises of several months combined together. So this is what you tell yourself. You keep on making excuses and you never take action. And that is why in this video I have decided to deconstruct every single excuse that you make that is holding you back from pursuing your robotics learning goals, and really help you get started with learning robotics as quickly as possible. So let's have a look at some of the excuses that you make and how to really deal with these. So, what is your excuse for not start learning robotic software engineering today? So, you say, I don't know where to start. I don't have the money for an advanced degree. I don't have time. I'm not smart enough for programming. Even if I started, I wouldn't know what projects to build. I am just lazy, and it's too late. I'm too old. There are a bunch of excuses that you can make, that you would be making, and there's no limit to that. So let's look at some of the excuses that you make the most often, and we would be trying to deconstruct these. So we'll be trying to knock down each of these excuses one by one. I don't know where to start. So this is the number one excuse, and this is why I'm starting with breaking down and knocking down this excuse so that this doesn't bother you anymore. I don't know where to start, and the this is how I started making roadmap style videos, because a lot of people were reaching out to me and they said, hey, I just do not know where to start. It's just overwhelming. Robotics is overwhelming, and it's just a bunch of things that I do not understand. Which domain should I go for? What is my niche? What projects should I do? All of these sort of things, and which is why I created multiple videos where I talk about a yearly plan, a 2024 yearly month-wise plan for becoming a robotic software engineer. So this is a video that is absolutely going to destroy this limiting belief that you do not know where to start. And likewise, and there's another video where I give you a step-by-step guide on how to really start learning robotics and become a self-taught robotic software engineer. So there's a blog post associated with this as well, and you can go ahead and look at all of these resources. That these are really designed for beginners. So you start with defining your core motivation, building a strong mathematics foundation, switching to Ubuntu, getting familiar with Ubuntu, Linux, understanding Visual Studio Code, and creating a Conda environment, getting started with it. And there are resources linked everywhere. So this is really a comprehensive roadmap that this is all you need to become a professional roboticist. So you need to learn Git, obviously. You need to learn Python, C++, so the basics of programming, learning TensorFlow, OpenCV, all of these things. And then I've also given you a list of projects here. So long list of multiple projects in different domains of robotics. How would you choose your niche? All of these things are there in this guide. So if you say, I do not know where to start, it is really an excuse. You have to realize that this is an excuse that you have been making for several years, and you need to stop. Otherwise, you'll never be able to start. And starting is the most difficult phase. Obviously, I understand that, because you probably have a lot of anxiety about learning to program. You probably have limited programming experience, if any at all, and that is why it holds you back. And you need to understand that once you overcome this initial inertia, once you get started with learning robotics, you would be eventually pulled towards learning more, towards building more projects, because it is a really exciting field. And you're probably also genuinely motivated by learning robotics. So the only thing is, you need to break that initial barrier. There's a book that I read called Mini Habits, and the idea of that is that if you want to start learning something, you have to build a habit, and in fact a mini habit, which means if you want to learn how to do push-ups, then you just need to start building a habit of doing one push-up a day. Now this might sound insane and silly that hey, one push-up a day would not really help me build skills to do multiple push-ups or to build a good physique, but you start with one push-up a day, and then you just continue doing that for a long time, and you have to do that without fail every single day. And once you do that, soon you'd be able to do multiple push-ups on a consistent basis. And likewise, if you want to start learning programming, you have to start with programming for 5 to 10 minutes every single day, but on a consistent basis, and soon you would be intrinsically motivated to program for longer durations. And just follow this roadmap and start, and stick with it, and trust that the process would take time, but start dedicating 5 to 10 minutes towards learning different aspects of robotics. So this is one particular thing. And the other thing is that I do not have enough money for a master's program. This is also one of the most common misconceptions, that you do need to have a master's degree. Well, probably you do, because a lot of companies do value that you have a master's degree, and having a master's degree is of advantage. So I'm not denying that, but you do not need to do a master's. You can go for a master's if you want to, and that would be a good experience and an exposure to different research institutes. But you do not really have to go for a master's, uh, because you just need to cultivate the right skills, and these are essentially software skills which you can do from your home, from your laptop, really comfortably build your skills, and then go for internships, part-time jobs, or even full-time jobs directly, after you have built a strong portfolio of projects. So if you demonstrate that you are someone who is capable of delivering and really doing a lot of work for a company, every company would be willing to hire you and would be willing to invest in you. So try to understand that a company really wants a good employee who would be motivated enough to do the things that are required of him, and that is all you need. And that is something that is demonstrable by essentially you building your projects by yourself. In fact, if you take the initiative to build the projects by yourself, to learn the skills all by yourself without going for a master's, you would be in fact better than a lot of candidates who just go for masters, because you're showing self initiative. You're showing that regardless of my circumstances, I am willing to put in the effort and learn the things that matter to me. So this is in fact even an advantage, especially for startups. And in robotics there are more startups than bigger companies, especially in terms of AI robotics. There are a lot of cutting edge startups that are working on the state of the art AI algorithms and making robots autonomous. So you do not need a master's, you just need a very strong skill set, and that is something that you can build all by yourself. Okay, so the other excuse is that I do not have enough time. Now, this is an excuse that obviously sometimes I myself seem to make or tend to make. Is It's because time is limited. It is what it is, and especially if you have a full-time job, especially if you are already enrolled in a university program, or if you have other commitments, you probably have a limited amount of time. But you need to prioritize your learning goals first. Dedicate a couple of hours every single day, or even 30 minutes a day towards your goals, and soon you would be able to make at least some progress. And you always have the weekends with you, so you might need to make some sacrifices, and you might need to prioritize your learning goals. But once you do that, you just would be able to make a tremendous amount of progress, and you would not be making these excuses that hey, I just don't have enough time, because everyone has the same number of hours during the day. Some people are able to make the best use of it. They use it wisely, and most people just waste time. And of course, I started this video with this scenario of how you tend to waste time on social media, and I myself also tend to do that sometimes. And it's okay if you do it like once a month or once every few months, once every few weeks. If you waste 30 minutes or so, that is fine. But this should not be the norm, because if you're wasting 30 minutes or 45 minutes every single day, these just compound over time, and you just would could have done so much more if you spend that time towards your goals. And the other thing is that I'm not smart enough for programming. So this is also an excuse that someone who doesn't have enough experience in programming or enough exposure to programming, and someone who is from a mechanical or electronics background tends to make you say, hey, I'm not smart enough for programming is too hard, it's just I'm too old to learn programming, these sort of things. And I just would like to remind you that everything that you know today is because you took the time, and you made the effort to really learn and invest in your learning journey. So whether it is learning to ride a bicycle, learning to swim, learning to read and write, even like you did it for a consistent basis, and it was probably a very hard thing to do when you were quite young, when you were little. But everyone has to go through it, and then you know how to read and write, and you can really do it effortlessly. So the idea is that you need to spend enough time, and you need to get out of your own way, and you just need to start dedicating multiple hours during the day to start programming. And if of course it can be frustrating at first, because you might not understand some of the concepts, you might have a lot of bottlenecks that you encounter as you're programming, and that is just a normal part of the process, the learning journey. Remember that when you were learning how to ride a bike, you did have to fall several times before you were comfortable balancing a bicycle all by yourself. So it's the same thing with programming, or in fact learning a musical instrument or anything that you want to do. It's that you have to give it time, and you have to be patient, and you have to trust in your own ability to learn new things, and that is the most important thing. So coming to the next excuse, I don't know which projects to build. I've actually created a list of 150 plus robotics projects for beginners. This is a post on LinkedIn, but I'll eventually also compile it in the form of a blog article like this. And these are fundamental projects in machine learning, computer vision, ROS projects for just learning the basics of these things, and then also projects in different niches for learning, machine learning, manipulation, machine learning, perception, planning, and control. So these are the four major niches in robotics, and I've given you lists of projects in this. And then I've also given you multiple projects for robotic manipulation, bin picking, locomotion, navigation, so application specific projects, ROS to nav to drones and humanoid. And 150 plus projects is probably not what you would be able to do within a couple of years, or even within 5 to 10 years, because you probably also have a lot of other things to do. So realize that all you need is 2 to 3 really good projects, and you can choose from these 150 projects. You can choose what kind of projects that you're really interested in. You should first build your foundation. You should learn the basics of TensorFlow, ROS, Gazebo, Python, C++. You should build that foundation first. Once you have set your foundation, then you should start building some mini projects, and then you can choose mini projects from this list as well. And then once you have built a few mini projects, you should define your niche, and within your niche, let's say it is perception for robotics. So if perception for robotics is your niche, then you would start looking at perception projects and start doing some major projects. And this is something that I have talked about again and again. This is essentially the roadmap that I talked about in the beginning, just the step by step roadmap that you would follow to become a self-taught robotic software engineer. So follow these project lists, and then you no longer would have this excuse that you do not know what projects to build. And the last excuse is that I'm lazy and I procrastinate, and I understand that, and this is human nature. We are all lazy sometimes, and we all procrastinate sometimes. And I think the idea is that you need to build systems that prevent you from procrastinating a lot, that prevent you from being lazy and wasting your time. You need to build systems that keep you accountable, and accountability is key. You need to really make sure that you're surrounded by a group of like-minded people who are pushing themselves to achieve their goals to become robotic software engineers, and to really drive home this idea that procrastination and laziness are some things that can be easily overcome by building the right systems. I created this 2 hour long video. So this is a really long video titled "The Complete Productivity Guide for Aspiring Robotics or AI Engineers." And the idea is that, obviously, as someone who is learning robotics all by himself, who is taking the self-taught route, who doesn't have the convenience of accountability through a peer group that one would have as part of a university program, you have to be extra motivated, you have to be extra disciplined, and you have to have the right systems. You have to build your own systems, which are actually not at all hard to build. And I have created these systems over the years of myself struggling with procrastination and wasting a lot of time. I've created this system because the YouTube channel that I'm building and the side projects that I do for robotics have always been on on the side. These have always been um, during the evenings after work, or mostly on the weekends. And for that, I had to build systems, and I constantly keep on refining and updating my system so that I am disciplined enough that I can really um, work on my goals. Otherwise, if you do not prioritize these goals, these just would go away, and your time would just pass you by, and you would never be able to make progress. So it is extremely important to focus on the right systems that would help you become productive and that would prevent procrastination and laziness. Okay, so lastly, you just need to start your robotics learning journey right now. The biggest challenge for aspiring robotics and AI engineers is not knowing where to start. I myself have transitioned from mechanical design engineering to robotics software engineering. So I understand everything that you're going through. I understand the struggle and limiting beliefs that you would have in terms of switching from mechanical engineering to a domain of computer science. And that is why I have built all of these systems. That is why I share my journey, so that everyone who is from a similar background, from a non-computer science background, from a non-software engineering background, and who wants to go into robotic software engineering, or even if you're from a software background and you want to go into robotic software engineering because that is more exciting to you, you can just follow a lot of free resources that I've shared. Or alternatively, if you really want to become a self-taught robotic software engineer, and if you really are serious about your learning goals, I have created a course titled "Become a Self-Taught Robotic Software Engineer" that would help you become a robotic software engineer in a step-by-step manner. There's a private group associated with the course where I would be there to help you throughout your learning journey. And there's something that you can go ahead and look at. Uh, Look on the website learnroboticsandai.com/challenges. All of the details regarding the course are on this landing page, and so you can go ahead and check that. And by the way, there's a Diwali offer ongoing that would be valid only for the next couple of days, so till 1st of November. You can go ahead and look at the curriculum, read it, and see if you really require such a roadmap. There's a lot of different sort of projects, and the entire system is there for you. So I wouldn't talk too much about it. You can decide for yourself whether the free resources are enough for you, or you would really like to have the full systematic roadmap and really take your learning journey to the next level and actually commit towards your learning goals. So that is it. Hopefully, after listening to all of the excuses that you make after watching this video, you'd be able to deconstruct and get rid of all your limiting beliefs and all of your excuses and start your journey to becoming a robotics software engineer, becoming a self-taught robotics software engineer.